So when adapting a scene from stage to screen, you obviously have to consider the differences. Now, I've looked at both over the last 2 years, and then obviously I've worked on sets and I've worked in theatre. I've worked on both in front of the camera, behind the camera. I've worked on the stage and then doing the lighting and the sound for the stage. So it's something that I'm somewhat familiar with at this point, and something that I'm going to use the last 2 years of experience to create. However, the notes I have from the director is on stage, projected voice and gesture, movement visible from a distance, shared with a live audience. Whereas on camera, it's more naturalistic, it's contained emotion. Small physical shifts matter, share only with the lens. And then I like to think of it, the camera is right there in front of your face, seeing every little secret, every little detail inside of your eyes. You can't hide anything, but it's easier to show it. It's easier to go over the top and get too much, because the camera can see every little small detail, even the ones you're subconsciously producing, whereas on stage, your camera, as such, the audience, is much further away. They can see everything. There's no hiding a jitter in your leg, or your entire body has to be in character. But you can't rely on minor facial expressions to do this. Now, at the moment, I'm looking at not using any camera work as such, any filming of me, because that's something the director seemed really keen on. When I've had discussions with him, he seemed really eccentric about having the ideas of just using voice. I think throughout the process of the tech rehearsals, then the final performance, as well as the rehearsal phase in general, the creation phase, vocally was something the entire ensemble lacked on. Physically, I think everyone was very good at embodying their character. I know Greg, I really did, towards the end, I really did become Greg in that moment. And vocally was something I think we all lacked on, and it's something I kept picking up on lacking. I know personally I wanted to explore more about Greg having a voice different to my own, that was continuous throughout the entire production, which I don't think I quite managed to create in the final performances as much as I would have liked. So that's something I want to focus on now, which is why I won't be using this camera technique. However, it applies, the idea of the camera being far and near applies to voice. In the round especially, you have to just be loud. Everyone has to be heard. Everyone in the audience has to hear you. Even when they're not looking at you, they still have to hear you. Things like Chaos, I know Maya Lion Earthquakes in China was literally shouted over the top of the entire ensemble, shouting everything. For that line to be heard, I had to focus on projection, just getting that out. Now, I know that I did do emotion and all of that work in that scene at the time, because that's something I really focused on. However, it's something I can focus vocally on now. So the idea still applies. Instead of being loud and obvious, I can be more smaller, more subtle, because the camera's, of course, going to pick it up. Then the director's got a tip here. Tip: on camera, thinking the thought is often more powerful than showing it. Remember to feel and not demonstrate. I think, again, that obviously that is referring to as if the camera was pointing your face, but I think that can also apply to a microphone in your face, because the microphone's going to pick up every little hesitation, every little breath, whereas an audience member might not be able to hear it, or might miss it, or certainly with the entire ensemble on stage all moving, all doing things like in mine, might just get distracted and miss it. So I do think it applies.